we have everyone here for our first Decode Hub panel, which is how NFTs will revolutionize media, music, fashion, movies, and sports. Right, this is exactly where we've been seeing all the action so far over the last couple of years, and there's still a lot of value to be unlocked. Right, so without further ado, I'll introduce everyone. So we have Prashan here, co-founder and CEO of FanTiger. It's a marketplace focused on music NFTs, and prior to this, Prashan was CEO of Garner.com. His insights into the music industry are unparalleled, right? And Prashan, thank you so much. We're super glad to have you here and have you share your views.
Thank you.
Then we have Alok. Guys, Alok is the head of marketplace operations at Sorare. Sorare is one of the pioneering NFT sports fantasy giants, and it has raised over $600 million. It's working with some of the most notable clubs across different sports that you can think of. You think of Real Madrid, PSG, Dortmund, and the likes. And then Alok's been heading the marketplace ops. Alok, thank you for joining us, and then we look forward to your views here. Rahul is the head of the Web3 division at Shemuru. As Rahul, we met Ravi prior to this, and he gave us an intro. Shemuru, nobody, I don't need to give an introduction. Shemuru's been playing an instrument. It's a content powerhouse in India, and it'll be really great to hear from you on how you think the industry is changing and how they're looking at it. Then, of course, we have Ram and Kamesh. Ram and Kamesh are the founders of Guardian Link. They've built an exciting stack from that includes launchpads, protocols, marketplace, and they're helping some of the largest brands across all these verticals that I just mentioned to build and come on Web3 and see how they can build new products and offerings for the next generation, right? So, guys, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Perfect. I think we'll keep it open and immersive, but we've got a few questions we'll throw around. So I think because we have people from each diverse range, I think we can touch on how that particular industry is being impacted. So I think starting with Prashan, could you throw some light on how you see NFTs changing the norms for how we are streaming music currently? Because it's no more a problem that is on a user level. We have different services that we use on a daily basis from Apple Music, Spotify, so on and so forth, right? So what do NFTs really solve for? And if you can throw light for people here, and how do you see them evolving this industry specifically?
Yeah, sure. So I think when you look at the music industry, there essentially is the artist, and then there's the listeners. And when you look at the problems to be kind of solved for, you essentially look at both these kind of consumers, so to say, and look at what are the problems that each of them are facing, and how can the Web3 NFT space kind of pitch in and resolve the issues that are faced. Let me start off with the artist front, where FanTiger is kind of focused on. While everyone knows that artist is very, very central in terms of creation of a song, creation of content, but the industry structure has been such that most of these artists essentially do not get the due for the kind of content that they create. Most of the artists hardly make 8 to 12% of the entire revenue generated from the success of a song. And the reason for that is that in most cases, these artists essentially do not own the copyright or the streaming rights to the songs that they produce. In most cases, they actually sell the rights to a music label, who's then, distributing the song through the platforms that you mentioned. And then the revenue that is generated from that is basically kept most of the time by the label themselves. And so when you look at the income of an artist, or if you look at the P&L of an artist on a yearly basis, you'll see that 90% of the income that an artist makes is on events, which could be either concerts, which could be even, marriage ceremonies, events, birthday parties and the stuff. But from the core content creation, they are not earning much. And that's where, what we are trying to solve is that for any artist to kind of break out, he looks at funding, marketing and distribution. And we can, deep dive into these three aspects later. But essentially, we are, helping these artists to be able to stand on their own feet while continuing to own the IP and also the revenue rights to the song, so that they actually are able to benefit from the success of a song. On the streaming side of things, I think there could be interesting plays, which is kind of on the listener end, which is the distribution aspect. Uh, and there, of course, I think the NFT would play a role more Web3 rather than NFT in terms of creating a decentralized streaming platform where essentially users can own the platform while they also listen and consume the songs. FanTiger, as of today, as I said, is focused on essentially helping the artists to start with, and not really focused on the distribution at this point.
Perfect. No, thank you. Thank you so much for that, Prashan. I think, and then we really look forward to seeing FanTiger really reach all the heights that you guys are aspiring to with music. It's a massive industry, and I think solving it for artists on the ground level definitely is the most critical problem there, right? So thanks for that. Next up, I think Alok, would love to get this view, and I think we have a lot of sports fans here. So from that perspective, how do you see engagement on SoRare being different from other fantasy platforms, right? How do you see what's the conventionally what changes there, right? If you can enlighten everyone on that. And then what about how you've seen user behavior over the last 2 years? Because it's been a while since you guys have been around. How you've seen that evolve on these platforms?
For sure. I think the overall thesis is actually the other end of the spectrum in sports from what Prashant said. It's not so much about helping the clubs. Look, Manchester United knows how to sell its IP, right? Like it misses every last dollar. But I think it's more on the fan side, which I have been more than pleasantly surprised to see, how close fans want to get to their favorite sports star, to their clubs, and so forth. Now, what are the traditional ways they do that? They buy jerseys, they go to clubs, so on and so forth. And in fantasy, what you typically play a free fantasy game, and 5 of your friends create like a pot of a few dollars, and the winner takes all, right? But I think going forward, there's 2 things. I think there's probably 3 things. I think one is, similarly to how fans engage with assets like jerseys and so on and so forth, I think the collectability aspect and the fact that why only Web3 enabled it, because before that, truly, you could sell a digital card, but I think intuitively there's a truth that is, look, that's just with that company, and I don't own it. It's not physical, and neither is it like the blockchain concept didn't exist. But so it was very intuitive humanly that wouldn't be paid for. But the collectability aspect of, and cards have been around for ages, like physical cards, collectability, baseball, NBA, so on and so forth, been around for ages. But the blockchain actually allowed for it to become a personal ownership asset and also remain digital. And we've seen that play out actually extremely well, right? So people care about that. They want to have the one Mbappe unique and one Haaland unique, and we're talking like massive numbers they're willing to pay for it, right? I think the second thing is you get to, in many ways, profit off of your knowledge, right? If you're a sports fan, there's no true way to profit. Like either you become a really good sports journalist or you go into illegal gambling and betting, and like those are your 2 options, right? But how do you know that, there's a 16, 17-year-old player and you're like, this person is going to be huge? So how do you capitalize on that knowledge? You buy that person's card, you buy a tradable collectible, and that person becomes big, you get a profit of it, right? So there's like this whole collectible investment speculation aspect. And then there's the fantasy aspect. I think that what's different here is you get to play fantasy now in a way that's way more engaged, right? Because you buy these collectibles and then you use those collectibles to play fantasy. So you're invested in it in a much more sort of long-term way, right? Like typical fantasy, you go change your squad every week probably, or whatever the rules are, right? Here, there are no rules on there are no rules like we would impose saying you cannot take or you cannot substitute players or you cannot get more players. It's really about you're a real-time manager with with sort of a budget you decide in a competition you decide. Let's say it's 500 euros, right? And with that 500 euros, which is the best team you can buy to win, right? And so it gets you a lot. It's like playing a typical football manager game, like Football Manager, Top 11, so on and so forth, but with much higher stakes, with much more interesting stakes, where you actually, it's not pure fantasy anymore. It's somewhere in the middle of actually being good at being a football manager and the money aspect, both the investment and the ROI on it. So I think this is how, and for me, this is sort of just the beginning, because there are many other things we do through this. If you own a player's card, or if you win certain things, for example, right, that ownership allows you access to the player. It allows you VIP tickets to the stadium. It allows match balls. It allows memorabilia, so on and so forth. So it's also an ownership token, which doubles up as access to these various things.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Alok. I think that's a very, very, comprehensive view for all of us. And I think even I'm yet to buy my first NFT on Sorare. So I think I'll sooner than later. I'm still waiting for Barcelona's, NFT there. So, yeah, perfect. No, thank you so much. Now, guys, I think I'll just. Rahul, would love to get your take on how you think the film industry is going to change. Ravi's already thrown some light for us around it, but you bring in a whole different perspective, having, worked at leading the Web3 initiatives at Shimaru. And, maybe you can, tell us a little bit more about what other initiatives you are taking and how you are thinking about it from a 5-year, time frame.
Wow. Okay. 5 years seems a little long, but let me still share an overview. So Shimaru Entertainment, we're a 60-year-old company, 60 years this year. We've been pioneers in, from say the VHS tape days, and what are we doing in Web3 is something which I get asked quite often. I think the movie industry, the entertainment industry actually has been getting disrupted in the last 6-7 years. I think huge amount of social media is influencing how movies are made, what kind of content are created. And obviously the OTT wave came in and has changed the way we consume content, the kind of content feedback which goes back to creators. It's actually very exciting. And now comes the Web3 wave, and how I see, to simplify it, I see two extremely exciting phases in Web3. One is the application of blockchain, which obviously leads to the NFT conversation. And the second part is, what does immersive entertainment mean, when the world moves to Metaverse? And that's exactly the play we're looking at currently from a Shimaru point of view. I think from today's topic context, which is more on NFT, I think there are a huge amount of opportunities an entertainment company has to unlock as we move to the entire decentralized, internet economy. There are areas of, film distribution, fundraising, marketing, revenue, unlocking. I recently, closer to more Prashan's industry, but, Whitney Houston's Unheard song gets sold for $1 million as an NFT. Imagine there are producers and creators who've created so much content which never has got exposed due to certain commercial viability. Those can be brought out to the market for audiences to enjoy, and also for the production or the creator to make revenue out of it. So there are a host of opportunities which are coming, our way as an entertainment industry. Apart from, NFTs being the usual fandom, you obviously get access to your favorite stars, assets, avatars, or, a clip or a song or a, whatever asset you want to own. It is creating a new economy as well. So, when as companies get into, production based on NFT tickets, for the first time, actually, an industry which has been fairly closed garden away from consumers. Now, consumers who are NFT holders get a right to actually be part of the creative process. I think that's amazing. I think that's something which, without the entire blockchain NFT process, wouldn't have been possible. And also look at the business model as well. So if you are part of a creation of a content as an NFT holder, how can I monetize it? How can I make revenue out of it as well as a consumer? So getting those aspects in together is something we're really excited about at Shimaru. Obviously, our NFT strategy is currently backed by a lot of IPs. That's what we want to actually offer out to consumers. And we have not yet launched an NFT platform, but we pretty much, very soon we'll be out in the market with our plans for larger engagement with consumers soon. Yeah.
Thank you. We're looking forward to that, definitely, Rahul.
Thanks, Yaraj.
Thanks. Now, guys, I think to tie it up, I think we have Ram and Kamesh, because their experience, they've been trying to help brands across these dimensions. From gaming, movies, entertainment, sports, right, and solutions across the board. So I think Ram, just to start off from you, could you throw some light on, even I think adding on a bit of perspective on fashion and retail, because virtual goods, where we've been talking about how that economy is going to give a whole other boost, both in an India and global context. And how do you see the Web3 stack changing consumer experience, both for physical retail and e-commerce? You guys even have recently worked with Flipkart on their big billion day sale. I think you can even tell us about that. I think because that's the most massively, I think, one of the biggest programs to have been conducted in it from India. So I think that's one thing you can kind of first enlighten us on.
Oh, definitely. So what we're seeing right now across brands, right? So I was discussing with one of these brands that is heavily getting into NFTs and Metaverse and all that. They believe about 5 to 10% of their revenue the next 3 to 4 years would be coming from the Metaverse and NFTs, right? So that's the massive scale they're looking at in terms of getting into any kind of Web3 experience. And if you take a look at fashion and retail, we are working with a brand called Hurley, which is a sub-brand of Nike based out of US. And they're fully onto it. They want to create an NFT collection first with us, and then later on go with the game, and then have a metaverse, and have a retail sellout in that metaverse itself, and have people try Hurley fashion on metaverse. For example, I'm just wearing an attire here in Gather Town, right? If I could wear a Hurley branded attire, so that's what they're looking for. And they know that this is going to be the future, even though we see decentralised and all that have maybe having about 40 people right now, but they see that this is the future and this is how it's going to progress, right? And fashion on its own, digital fashion has been a great steer also in NFTs, right? We've seen that happening in games as well. We used to go ahead and buy all these goblets and all that in Clash of Clans and stuff just to show that vanity, right? So I think fashion would be a big steer in terms of NFTs and digital collectibles in the metaverse. Along with it, various other brand-based experience would evolve. Like as you told Flipkart, right? The Flipkart guys are trying to bring in the big billion day as an aspect with NFTs, right? What we're trying to do is to have like a 10-day treasure hunt and give out NFTs each day, about 10,000 NFTs per day, and then it equaled about 2 lakh NFTs. And all of these NFTs was taken to OpenSea, and it was taken to Instagrams, where you can go ahead and have it as your NFT collectible. And they just wanted to kind of build that experience that you can hold on to an NFT in a platform, and you can have sort of like a digital collectible for yourself. And they started bringing on various other brands that they partnered with. They partnered with Colgate, Palmolive, and all that. They started bringing their NFTs as well, just to give people an exposure to how we can go ahead and buy a digital good from Flipkart, right? You've known to buy physical goods from Flipkart, and they want to kind of change that experience and try to claim digital goods. I guess that's where people are seeing this to go forward. And any brands that we speak, they know that the next generation audience are in the metaverse, NFTs, and Web3, and the age group between 18 to 30, and they want to tap into those audience, and because that's the next billion that will be coming from there, right? So we see huge traction there, but it's a progressive matter, right? People are just using right now it as a hype and a PR angle, not more on a revenue basis. Probably in the next 3 to 4 years, you would see
a staggered revenue coming from there, and that's what we see happening here. And the likes of FanTiger and what Shemmer is doing, right? It's a great move to get into NFTs and Web3 right now. And when brands like these come in, you see other brands joining in and other players joining in. And when brands come in, then the audience get built up there, and then the adoption starts from there. So yeah, that's the progress that we see. And more business brands come in, the more better for us. So that's what we're excited for.
I think just to I think add to that a little bit. It's been right. We've been having those discussions, right? That NFTs won't sell for NFT's sake, right? It won't sell because it's an NFT. There needs to be a proper utility attached. So I think that really kind of adds, makes a lot of sense. Now I think Kamesh, you can provide us that perspective from the thing that I mentioned earlier in terms of how you guys have touched upon all entertainment verticals, working with these so many large companies here, right? And you're already in discussions with a bunch of them and already deployed solutions for a bunch of them. So what does this journey look like for you guys? And not only in terms of how many companies are willing to experiment it, but in terms of that outcome that we just talked about, right? Like where have they gotten to with those solutions? And in the long run, how do these brands, or have they been able to think about utilizing or creating that utility around each kind of campaign or integration that they do?
Yeah, so we want to create a use case around it so that which can set a standard in India. So we launched Amitabh Bachchan, where we got a huge attention for NFTs and got a huge adoption for NFTs, and a lot of buzz happened around that. We launched a gaming marketplace which is called Jump.trade, where we sold cricket collectibles or cricket utility NFTs. We took a route of almost like we are a game. I would say that if you take an example of Sorare, right? Sorare deals with IP content, right? So they deal with clubs and players and launching a fantasy game around that. But we took a Axie kind of approach. So non-IP content, make the game so interesting, and then it's a skill game where people can play, right? They win the reward, and then it's play to earn game with a marketplace where people can buy, trade, upgrade, want to sell. All this kind of process are setting a standard in terms of how NFT marketplace and gaming marketplace can work in India. So we got a huge understanding. We dropped 55,000 NFTs at a stretch and done close to 6 crores of sale for a gaming NFT, even without IP. Right? Generally, people love to buy IP, right? If it is a Sachin Tendulkar, everyone wants to buy it. But if you create a fantasy character, and then if you want to build that fantasy character, and it gives only people who understand this Web3 and crypto space will be interested in buying those kind of content, not like a normal audience would be interested, right? So we got a very good learning, we got a huge attention from the community. So there's a real-time marketplace where people actively trading. We have a Sachin signed bat, which is trading for $1,000. All this kind of interesting. It is only digital bet, right? So people love to spend and want to play it, spend time on buying digital stuff, which is really happened after this COVID. There's a huge adoption towards buying a digital collectible, right? We never spend money to buy digital photos, right? After NFT, it's became very common now. So right, which one is the rarest NFTs, right? Those kind of adoptions are getting into. Of course, I see song can take a huge leverage as Sorare already taken a huge adoption to the market, right? Setting up a standard for the game, how we can work with the NFTs. It has more collectible as well as playing element to it. Yeah, so I think what I feel right now already in a sports and gaming industry, people are buying in-game assets, right? Last year I see more than $10 billion worth of in-game assets. Already people are buying it anyway. It's not new to the people, but they can't retrade it, right? They can't sell it, they can't rent it, right? If they buy the game asset, then that's it. So you can play, and then if they update the game, then you're gone, right? So the assets are there is no value for the asset. You can't move the asset to the other games or anything like that, right? So where NFT is really solving I can see it was a huge adoption for NFT is going to be on gaming. I strongly believe that. Why? Because already the 10 billion of industry, so if 1 billion can easily convert to gaming, assets, like a lot of retrades will happen. People buy, rent it out, and then you can figure out the total supply of the NFTs. Right now, if you see, many interesting games have selling $100,000 worth of guns, which is the skin, right? It looks so nice. That's it, sir. You can buy it and play with it, but of course, there's a lot of pleasure, using it. But you can retrade it, right? As if you have an advantage of retrading it, I think of course people love to adapt that, right? That is what we were trying to engage, and we got so far very interesting and response from the community. Even without IP, people can really buy this kind of NFTs, something which is even new experience for us. So yeah, it is really working. So of course, brands like Flipkart, right, which is a large size company. I thought they'll take 4-5 years to adapt to this industry. They are trying to be very fast and they're trying to adapt this space. And they want to sell a digital, dresses, right? They used to sell physical dresses, right? So they want to sell a digital dresses, where we can wear it on this kind of events. So that is the approach they were trying to take. I think it's going to be 2 to 3 years. I think it's going to be interesting adoption and learning for everyone. I can see the bold move, like Facebook taken a bold move, like changing the whole company name to Meta, and right, they start now you can see everything on Instagram. You can be working with the Twitter directly, that you can people can buy the NFTs on Twitter feed. So we partnering with directly with Twitter. If you share the NFTs on Twitter feed, you can buy things on Twitter itself directly. So those kind of all the large companies are trying to adapt this space. Everyone seeing there is going to be huge adoption in future. So I think it's an interesting learning for us, dealing from the celebrity to the game. So like a very good adoption and a lot of more interesting community. We never deal with community, right? In a Web2 world, there is no such something called community, where we never Web2 companies will decide based upon the product managers, whatever they decide, right? Here is the case that people come up with idea, say, hey, well, this is the new feature you should do because we need this kind of feature. So I see there is huge psychological change in development even, right? We'll have a community call, try to take a feedback from them, see what they want, what is missing, what is the issue. They are our testers, right? They are our investors. So that is a different approach, and we're really enjoying this journey.
Perfect. No, thanks, Kamesh. I think that was super comprehensive, and as I think just adding on to what you mentioned on the virtual goods economy, right, which is essentially the use case around gaming. I think that is definitely something that is right here. It's already here. I think that tech still needs to evolve, and I think that will take us on to the next panel that we are going to talk about, which is the same on metaverses, how they're going to evolve. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today, sharing your insights. As we mentioned, please feel free to explore around. You guys can definitely you can just respawn by clicking your name right next to your image on the bottom left, and you'll be in the common area as well. But thanks once again to everyone in the audience. We'll just come back in the next couple of minutes with the next session and the next set of speakers. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
See you.